pace at their level. Some people, as you know, some people aren't comfortable being around police or not necessarily comfortable sharing their ideas in the public space. So, but hopefully we can get as much feedback as possible for this committee. And that's one of the things I'll suggest is either working with the Breaking Bread, doing that being an event, or having other events, or maybe a dinner between now and then, June, as we try to bring recommendations forward. So I appreciate that suggestion, something I was thinking about as well. Does anybody else have anything they want to offer or suggestions for us moving forward? I'm hoping Lakiana shows up soon, because he said he would be here shortly. If not, I really don't have anything else to share. I was hoping we'd have a more robust conversation and could hear back from the other members and the groups that they've reached out to or engaged with, but that is not going to happen tonight.
Maybe the thing I would actually like to share with you is that I suspect that the community got badly burned with the co-op. Mm-hmm. I know I'm one of the people that did get badly burned with the way the co-op had been treated. And so that experience in which we had two different mayors participate, Mayor Hales and Mayor Wheeler, the city has been destroying trust faster than it can build it with the community. And by giving greater attention to the experts, the lawyers, and a lot of the formalities involved in the law, whereas that's understandable and acceptable, what was supposedly unique about the settlement agreement here in Portland, and hopefully would transport around the nation, was supposed to have been the community involvement. Mm-hmm. I would say that in all probability, every single community is having trust problems with the police. So whoever makes that breakthrough does a real service for the entire nation, and certainly, of course, serves the community it serves very, very well. I am not sure what it's going to take to start getting people to come back. Now, the irony, I mean, sometimes you really have to laugh at our own craziness, right? But the co-op was attracting too many people. Mm-hmm. And it was attracting all the unhappy people. And these unhappy people were registering all of their unhappiness in a very dramatic, almost kabuki style. And then the city wasn't happy with that, and neither were the lawyers happy with that, and nobody was really particularly happy with that. But there comes a time when, if you're saying you want to know what's troubling the community, you have to be prepared to accept the answer. Right. Requiring only that it be truthful. I mean, that's my requirement, is be truthful. And not stage for the sake of staging and inventing and making stuff up. But I understand that June is coming very quickly, and a report to the judge will need to be made. And for the most part, you're still organizing. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of hard to be organizing and inviting the community to come in and sort of just interact freely based on this previous experience of people being pretty badly burned. So I would suggest that, and I do this with all due respect, I would suggest that the mayor needs to bring the community piece of leadership to this entire project. And I don't necessarily mean in some sort of a political sense, but I mean in a true community spirit. The chief of police is undertaking some really serious trust-building engagements and efforts and so forth. And I was very pleased that the mayor showed up, where the two of them sat in front of the community over at Maranatha Church. I wasn't there, luckily. But that's partly what I'm saying, is that our leaders have to be prepared to take it. Just really unadulterated distrust, loud and pointed, because the concerns are very real and very serious and very old, really, really old. I mean, we're talking about civil rights efforts that are like 50 years old that didn't go anywhere. And so overcoming the skepticism of the community is going to take steadiness and reliability. And what I'm also fond of saying is that cities save the best and the worst for the community to do without any pay, on our own time, on our own resources. And it may not be flowing as freely as anybody involved with the settlement agreement would like to see, but we have got the hardest piece to put together. It's supposed to be an honor. I'm glad you're looking on this as an honor, because it is. I mean, to serve the public is the honor. And I think you always do it with your heart. People can maybe pay you for your time, but they can't pay you for your heart. And I think that's what the PSEP needs to bring, is their heart. But they need the support of the community to do that. And so I think patience will be in order for all of us as we try to rebuild. Because you were on the CPRC committee.
Mm-hmm.
When that was trashed, that was a tragedy. When co-op was trashed, that was a tragedy. So you can see that there's a lot of skepticism among the people who have been trying. I've been working almost a decade on police reform, and it's not smooth, it's not fast, it's not easy. It is long, patient, consistent work. And I am sorry to see that there are absences from the subcommittee here today.
And I appreciate, as always, your input over the years. And you're right, the CPRC was a place that people could come and voice their opinions, and there were relationships there. And it has been a struggle, kind of trying to not necessarily outlive the past or overcome it, but to move forward, move the PSEP forward, because there is a lot of history.
Exactly.
We want to be. I think it's important to be aware of it. One of the things I've done personally since being appointed to PSEP is, I have conversations with Abel, the Honorable Senator Abel Gordley, from time to time, just to kind of understand, the COAB, some of the successes and the failures of the COAB, and what we can do as leaders to move this thing forward. And so my commitment is that we won't have this again, right? So we need to have a full committee present and make sure that it's a priority for people to be here. And that's not taking away from people's having to be other places. I missed the PSEP meeting because I had a surgery. But we have a short period of time between now and June that we need to come up with some results and make sure that the community is engaged. So going forward, you know, make sure to put together a plan and connect with the other members of this committee and get that out to the community. And hopefully next month, April, May, we can have meetings in the community at, you know, one of those organizations or a couple of those organizations. And then also scheduled to have Austin Cop come. So I would be curious in the time we have left to hear what you think would be the best place to have that presentation, whether it be here at the subcommittee or on a larger scale, hearing from both Darrell Turner from the Port Police Association and Austin Cop in obviously different times, but do you think it'd be more effective having it here at the subcommittee or on a larger scale at the PSET meeting itself? I think having the stops data at the PSET meeting would be the best choice, personally. But I would like to hear from those of you who have any thoughts on it. And if you don't, that's fine as well.
I tend to support your idea because it is important to get it out and to get publicity out in advance so that the whole community knows that's what's going to be on the agenda and that questions will be invited. And then be really truly accepting if a lot of criticism comes down and hopefully no feelings get hurt. If you're a public official, you don't really have feelings except to devote to the job at hand. So I tend to support your idea. I don't know how the co-chairs of the PSET would.
Yeah, we have to run it through the steering committee.
Yeah. Which is coming up.
Yeah, which is coming up.
But back to another idea that you can borrow, and I do have uttermost compassion for the volunteers who are doing this work. I know the CRC permitted community members who were regulars and really interested in the subject to become members of the committee. So you could probably use 3 or 4 community members that become members of the subcommittee and give input. You can divide the work up amongst them. They can bring research in as you need it. And I would suggest that if the committee of the whole PSEP and the steering committee would feel like entertaining the idea of devoted or dedicated community members becoming actual members of the committee, I think it would be a help.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. That is something that we did discuss at the first subcommittee meeting last month, having community members, because that's part of when we had the CPRC was made up of 5 police officers, 5 human rights commissioners, and then 5 community members.
Yeah.
And so I think that is something obviously we have to vote on, and we have to figure out a process. There was a process in which those people were selected from the community interview process. So, but we're kind of crunched for time. So, are you volunteering to sit on the subcommittee for
I got volunteered.
Because if you are, I think I can streamline you through the process.
I got volunteered for the mental health. But that is, in fact, how I became somewhat efficient and proficient on the subject of officer-involved shootings.
Mm-hmm.
And when the community comes in, they bring their skills with them. And getting some of these reports to those who have less time, some of your committee members are going to be stretched by the PSEP,
Mm-hmm.
Committee of the Whole, by the steering committee, then by the subcommittee. That's a lot of work for them to keep track of. But some community members can get down into the weeds for you and do some of that research and then just present it, just give it to you. So that, and the other one, well, mine was actually use of force. Taser was my other sub. And right now, explosive devices is my other sub. So You see, I'm gravitating toward all the violent stuff, right? As a person of peace, who would be more interested?
And I think having community members, or, at least 2 or 3 possibly on this subcommittee will help, or can be a way for us to rebuild trust and
Yes,
have a more
yes,
intimate relationship with those different communities.
yes.
So I'm open to that. First I'll have to, I can't see that other community members with me, but we'll have to run it past the other committee
Exactly.
members and figure out the process to make that happen. So it's 15 minutes till 5. I don't really have anything else to offer at this point, unfortunately.